This video is a video about the radar screen, and I'm going to show you the screen that we use to search for gaps, primarily finding the 1 pattern and the 2 pattern gaps, and the 22 market force recognition, or the MFR indicators are the 22 indicators that show us market force pressure or market force movements, very tiny movements. And it's these movements that alert us to what's transpiring within the market itself of that particular symbol. The radar screen is a powerful tool that TradeStation has put together, and you can have up to 1,000 symbols on the screen. This is only subject to the capacity of your processor and the memory that you have on your computer, because sometimes you can put in gather so much information at the same time that your computer crashes. Done it many times. Okay, so you'll need to determine what kind of speed that your computer has, and how many columns or symbols that it can effectively handle. And at the same time, if it's during the market or after market, because obviously all of your open platforms, all of your open workspaces are being run at the same time. Now, the screen capture that I have here is what I refer to as my standard operating generic ideas that I want to see about a particular stock. I have different names for this and a few different columns depending on which screen I'm looking at, but this is one that's pretty standard. This one happens to be the general radar screen information. I have a gaps in front of it, gaps general radar screen information, basically just indicating for me that it's the one I use for the gaps radar screen. Excuse me. Now, each of these, like when you click on bids, when I click the header on bids, it lights up the column of bid. Same is true with ask. Those are each one indicator. When for example, that I move this over and I click on the top line up here, all of this thing goes white except for the right column over on the right is green. And if you look here farther, this is the 7 short-term trend lines in 5 columns. But what I'm trying to tell you here is the general radar screen information is one indicator. So in other words, I've got whatever it is, 15 or 16 columns in this one indicator. You can only put 30 indicators in the radar screen at one time. So this is information that we wanted: the previous close, the last. We wanted trades down and trades up. In this example here, you have Facebook, Netflix, and Microsoft. You can see they're trading up and down in the thousands, whereas others are not. Shares is a column that we use a lot. I currently right now have it set at $10,000, and you can set that number at any number that you want, your account value, or for me, I like to pick a value that I like to trade at one time, generally speaking. And so you can, in Facebook, for example, you can buy 69 shares of Facebook with $10,000, and whatever the number is in that share column is the number of shares that you can buy of that stock with $10,000. Now, I usually round up or round down from whatever number I see, like many people do. But that's what the shares column is. It does. It's a great help to make a quick purchase. This next column is the value of from the open to the last. So in other words, Facebook opened, and it's now 5 cents higher. It's in a green. It's 5 cents higher than it was. Keep in mind, there's right in this column right here, there's $1.28. That's the gap at the open. Facebook gapped up $1.28 this morning, and it's that percentage is 0.9%, or in other words, almost 1%. It gapped up almost 1%. Now the range is in a numerical value. The high and low range of that candle of that stock right now, Facebook, is $1.33. It's trading in that range. Again, that percentage is 0.9%. And the range yesterday, it had a value range of $1.90. That column expresses that. Then you have volume today with minus 3 zeros. So in other words, Facebook has got 12 million shares traded so far today. And then the volume, this is yesterday. I should move this over and show that. There's yesterday. This is the volume right now today column. It's there's almost 8 million shares that have been traded so far today. And then these last three are candle percentage, candle body, and yesterday's candle. And that's good information to have when you're trading. Also, if you find the one that's really high, like right down here, one's in a red, so it's a red candle, $1.37, that can give you some interesting buying opportunities when you find something like that. Or even better yet, this one down here has a negative $9. That's a percentage. It's not numerical dollars. Looking at the wrong column there. Excuse me again. This next column shows the 7 short-term trend lines. The trend trio value is expressed in this column, and that as you know or may not know, but the trend trio, yellow, pink, and blue, they all move up or they all move down at the same time. And these identify the short-term trend. The trend trio moves faster than the than the power green or the power green and orange or the swing red and green. These are all slow-moving charts, but the trend trio moves faster. Just like in this example right here with PDCO, you can see that that trend yellow is up and all 4 of the other ones are down. And so trend trio is moving up, and the minus, when you have a minus red, it is under 0, and when you have a white text, it is over 0. And obviously you can see that with the negative number or the positive number, but I put it in white and dark red. The white, I think of clouds in the sky going up. The green box says that the trio is going up. The red box says that the trio is going down. And so there's a real fast way to see what's happening with the 7 short-term trend lines. And as you know, they are a critical aspect of decisions that we make about the condition or the primary trend condition of the symbol. And this is the first thing that we go to when we look at any type of pattern that we're contemplating buying. We quickly look at the trend, the short-term trend of the 3 groups that make up the 7 short-term trend lines. Now, this, as I mentioned to you before, this pattern is set up, or excuse me, this platform, radar screen platform, is set up to analyze the 1 pattern and the 2 pattern gaps, or 1 and 2 pattern situations for gaps in trades that we're contemplating making. If you haven't heard me talk about it before, I'm looking for large numbers. You've got, in my video, I cannot display all 22. I'm only going to get a partial number on there. The rest of them I push back, and there's the rest of them. I've got the exchange listed here, and these are all on NASDAQ. I just got like almost 40 indicators on NASDAQ. I also took 2 lines and left them MFR 22 zip blue, and that has, as you can see, none of the colors are happening. And I wanted to point this out because when you load your indicators on your radar screen for the first time, they're oftentimes not going to function. And even though the zip blue is giving me the value of zip blue, there's no colors here. And so what I need to do is, you're not going to be able to see this, but I'm going to right click up here on top on the header, and then I'm going to go to the first line, and that's format all the symbols of zip blue. And then a window opens up, and it's general inputs, alert, style, color, and advanced. You click on the general tab, you go about halfway down, and it says load additional data. You take the 1 out of there and you type at least 55 in there. And I use 55, and then you click OK. When you click OK, all the colors of that column go into place. And I use 55 because there is pretty much not an indicator above 50 that's needed in the analysis that you're going to be making. Obviously, your 50 average line, your 50 moving average line would go back 50. But we don't have the, excuse me, we don't have the averages, the 50 or 100 or 200 averages on here. We're analyzing the sensitive 22 market force recognition indicators. I'm going to do that to the other one here. I right click, I click the top line, which is format, the M22 power blue. I click on the generals tab, I click the load button halfway down in that window. I take out the 1, I put in 55 because it's more than 50. I click the OK button, and all of the colors end up in that button, or in that column, excuse me. And so then what do I look for? I'm looking, if you've heard me talk about 1 pattern and 2 pattern, I'm looking for a pattern that has a large number of the same colors. I'm looking, in this case here, look at Facebook. It's got a huge number of yellow squares. The other thing that I'm not going to go into at this time, but some of them are yellow squares and some of them are yellow with black inside of them. If you go to the radar screen color code, the solid lines mean a greater move, or a stronger move. For example, a bottom of cycle, and each one of these represents, like a bottle nose up or a bottle nose down, a low angle up or a low angle down, a right leg W or a high M. Those shape patterns are identified on this list. And you can go and get the color codes for that inside of the radar screen color code alerts document. But the solid color means greater force. For example, a bottom of cycle lower pattern, where it's an ABC pattern, it's a V-shaped pattern. The C is today, and the A is 2 days ago. So in other words, the top of the V. When we say lower, what we're saying is that today's top arm is lower than 2 days ago's top arm. So the V, the right-hand V, is lower than the left-hand V. When you have a bottom of cycle with a higher pattern, the right arm is higher than the lower pattern, you've got a line length indicator that's longer. And that is an indication of strength. The two ways that we identify strength are patterns or numbers of patterns and line length of the indicator. And again, those are in a different, those descriptions and how they work are in a different video, but that's how we identify strength. For another example, a top of cycle indicator, your ABC pattern where your C is lower, that is stronger than a top of cycle higher pattern. So a TOC lower pattern has a solid block in the cell on the radar screen because it's stronger. It does something greater in the way of the strength of the push. And keep in mind, the strength of the push can be at different places. A BOC higher pattern is, well, we always think typically at the bottom of a cycle. That's the normal place that it appears. But when you have a BOC pattern on a peak, you then have a BOC higher pattern on a peak, you have more force inside of that what do I want to say? Inside of that indicator, but you may not know it right now, but you recognize that force is a reversal force. Because why? Because a BOC pattern on a peak is a divergent position. And if you haven't listened to any of the divergent videos or understood divergence in this system, you understand the reversal power of divergence. And you soon recognize that power, and you can pick up on that, see it, and actually trade that, what we refer to as a high probability move, because of what it does or can do. So in essence, what you have here in the 22 MFR indicators is we just search, we search for 15 or 18 or 21 same cell color blocks on that symbol. And you can literally go through this thing when it's not on the video. It doesn't work. It works, on your computer because you can look at all 22 of them at the same time. And with that in mind, then you can see if you've got 15 or 18 blocks. You can then glance back and look at the 7 short-term trend lines to see what you got. And you can tell a lot just from those, whether you even want to go to the chart and look at it. We also there's price chart indicator lines built in the way of one indicator for other uses. Again, I'm not going to go into that now. Same with the trend indicators. There's other uses in different types of patterns that we use for those. But this is the main way that I use to search for one pattern and two pattern gaps. It's just an amazing system. People chuckle at its simplicity. There are so many people want an algorithm to tell them what's going on or something like that, but you've heard me say again and again about the powers of the system and the ability that it gives you to tell you if that stock is going to go up or down the next day. And obviously you can't tell if every stock is going to go up or down every day. That's not what we're trying to do here. The patterns are what establishes a likelihood, a high probability, and given certain conditions in those patterns, we know that the high probability jumps just tremendously. And so the pattern with the condition, and then we can, in some situations, wait for a signal. So Again, a tremendous system. I really encourage you to learn it, to understand it. Don't try trading too soon with this system. Get to know the system, understand how it works, because it is powerful and it is very accurate in its ability. I mean, a higher right leg W is a price up pattern. You're not going to go wrong investing in a higher right leg W, except that if you miss some basic signals, the higher right leg W may go down one more day before the full W pattern then goes back up. Likewise, you're not going to miss a high M pattern as long as you're seeing the conditions that are with it or should be with it. So recognize what you've got in the indicators. Understand that the accuracy of which way the price is going is easily understood. We obviously can't tell, like in gaps, except for a level of numbers. We can't tell that it's going up, $2 or $8, except that if you've got 20 or 21 indicators all doing the same thing, and you've got conditions that go along with it, you can, and you've got a decent priced stock, you can oftentimes assume that it might gap $5 or more. So you can see the strength of the move. You just have to learn how to identify it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for taking your time to begin to understand this system. It's really powerful. It's really basic. It's designed for the beginner. And not to knock anybody in their particular trading or their trading style, but I've commented about the system that you're using. And you can be a 10-year veteran trading stocks successfully. And there are certain things that work for you, and you've got a system that you use, but that's not necessarily the best system for you. And that's what this is about. This whole system has just dozens and dozens of methods and techniques that you can utilize to your own style and grab what works for you. That's the beauty of the system. Two people that join the system, that join Day Trading Visual Basics, are going to use the system possibly in totally different ways. So there's many, many ways to use the system. See you on the next video.